are we live? Are we live? Yes, we are live. Does it matter? Not all that much. These are mostly for posterity. What is going on today is updating a little bit of docs. There's a couple other things I might get into, but mostly this is a docs day. Not very exciting, but it's a very important part of communicating to users. Let's see if we can get the situation here for people to see. Get my thing here. Okay, so we pushed some stuff the other day, and that was great. If we go to Gajumaru.io, we have go to build, go to Hakuzaru. We have docs for Hakuzaru. Cool. Well, look at what we have here. We have types. Yeah, sure. Good. Okay. And then we have functions. And these functions all have descriptions, except look at that guy. Nothing. That sucks. How about these? Nothing. These were written by me in a hurry to get GajuDesk just to work, and then I forgot to document them. Oops. Same thing here, verify. Yeah. So silly me. Yesterday I happened to. That's the wrong one. I want get. Is this? Nope. I'll need to bring a different page over to show you that. Yesterday, no, this is publicly visible. It's just not. Whatever. If I go to the docs branch. And make HTFetcher private, there's a word missing. That's kind of weird. Maybe it doesn't go past that summary extent that is in the git commit thing. Anyway, I pulled driver map off because we're not using it right now. Nobody's using it. Nobody will use it. And then I added types and doc strings and stuff. So the next time we do edoc, these will come out. They'll be fully populated. So that's good to know. Same thing with this stuff. So we're all fully nice now. In this one module, there's two other modules. ACI is kind of an important module. No doc strings because Jarvis just forgot to do them. Same thing with Sophia. These are all very simple to document, but they're just not documented, so they'd be mysterious to users. The fetcher module should not be public at all. That's bad. Format is very well done. Grids, I think it has gaps. Yep, has a few gaps. Grids. So grids and format. These should be private. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go. Okay, I should have this all up to date. But okay, cool. What was on format? That's a really important public module. It has to be public. Very important thing. What this does is you can take an amount of pucks, and pucks are a huge number. So you get these gigantic numbers of pucks, and it's just hard to interpret as a human. How much money do I have? Because it's 1 quintillion pucks is 1 Gaju. So the unit of measures, the unit's just crazy to try to visualize and reason through. So you can put this giant number of pucks in. You say HD format amount, this much, and it just comes back oh, you have 50 or 500,000. 0.123. Okay. That's really useful. Well, how much is 5,000 pucks? Well, it's 0. Lots of zeros, but they're grouped in threes now, and that's easy to think about. Here we have a style. We can provide a style. The style can be US, which is what we saw above. Japan, which does things a little different, or quite a bit different. Metric, which uses metric units. to break things up visually, and it's probably the most visually distinct and easy to read version is metric. Or in if you read Japanese, then JP is actually really really nice. Also, metric is really nice. Legacy is this different that uses like sort of Americanized prefixes or units, and then you can have it just have a separator and a span. So how many? Well, the span would be how big is a period, and then do you want a comma or a dot or like what? Because there's some places in Europe that like they use dots where everybody else uses a comma, and then the decimal place is a comma, so they like reverse the two. And it's just what your eyes are used to when you're dealing with big numbers. So like the Japanese formats are really nice because they omit useless zeros that are on the leading side. They have very clear denominations, and it really makes the number kind of chunky and crunchy and easy to read. But that's a very niche thing. So the sort of westernized version of that would be to use metric, and metric's really cool. Where you go, it uses SI prefixes. So 100 megapucks, 500K, so 500,000. And, so mega also corresponds to million, right? So it's easy to read 100,500,040 gajus and 123 peta pucks. So that's kind of nice. The legacy format being like the Americanized version. So this would be million and then thousand is still K, because everyone knows that one for kilo. And then this is quintillion. So it's a little bit different. I don't like that one as much. This is one of my favorites, is to use a custom character as a separator. Like underscore is really, really easy to read. A good thing about the underscore separator also is that like Erlang can just read, if you have an integer value and you have underscores, Erlang can just read those in directly, which is great. And if you speak an Asian language where you have myriads instead of periods, a myriad is a group of 4, which is how we say it where I live. And if you look at with small numbers, it's easy to understand. You have 10,000 something, then you just go, oh, well, that's Ichimon. But like when you get bigger, you get into millions, tens of millions, you get into like millions or like billions, you start going, wait, where's the dividing line? Because in the language, everything is in groups of 4. But in English, like in Japanese, it's in groups of 4, Korean, Chinese, whatever. But in English, it's groups of 3, and so you get confused. So you can customize that using this. So that's what this module does. Let's see. So format had 2 places that shouldn't have been documented. Or should have been handled different. Mark in 1. What does that even do? Oh, yeah. Okay. So the Gaju mark versus the puck mark. We can make this public. Mark unit and then mark. And the unit, because not everybody's going to be able to input Japanese characters. So this might be a convenient way for them to just get that out without having to know the Unicode code points and stuff. Well, yeah, we can just do hold on. Like imagine if you didn't have a $ sign on your keyboard and you had to type $signs. That would sort of suck. That's the exact same kind of case here. So what would we say? retrieve the code point for the Gaju mark. Okay, that's good enough. And then 1. Gaju or puck. Similarly, that's such a big number that it's hard to kind of remember and at a glance be like, is that the right? Like, even if I knocked 3 zeros off of this, it'd be easy to kind of miss, right? So in other code, if you're writing a web app against the Hakuzaru library, you kind of want to be able to say what's 1 Gaju versus what's 1 puck in a function, so you can say, well, this is the unit calculation. It's 1 or a lot. Like, that's so big that I just want to. The number of pucks in a Gaju is so large that it can Okay. So that should be good. Okay, I want Sophia. That's being done by Jarvis. ACI is being done by Jarvis. Format. What else was it? Oh, grids. And Fetcher, I've already made that private. That's done. Grids is ours. Okay. HC grids. Grids is stuff. Okay, stuff. Which ones do I want? Okay. Oh. This really needs to be documented because, like, quite a few folks are going to want to parse. Into how about translate? Translate's good. Translate a grids URL into an Erlang terms instruction. That's pretty simple. What's rec? I had changed this before. Rec 234. Not actually sure what this is. I don't remember. Oh. Equivalent to rec. Message ID I believe that's correct. Oh, network ID. Okay, cool. Okay. Request a message signature. Okay, yeah, ACK. Sign TX ACK. Message is string or a binary. Sign. This is going to be changing in the next version as well, because there's a little bit more in-depth like thing you might want to do, and you might also have like a binary. You might want to send a binary message out. Message is a string or a binary. Live to rec. Press the message signature. Which key? Type is sign tx ac. ID is false. String or binary, and network ID is a binary. I guess it could be a string too. Okay, now what I actually want is I should change the version of sign to sign message or sign binary, actually, is what it really should become. Because of how that works. So I need to put a to-do in here, which I'll do in a second. Create a. This isn't quite right. Creates a message format. Doesn't really apply to most of these. Whatever, doesn't matter. Something like that. Okay, something I want to check out here real quick is like Errol doc. I think it's dir. Is that right? Did I have another one of these? No, that's when I was experimenting with tar. It's supposed to be doc or something. Application directory for Hakuzaru. That's not right. I'm doing something silly. I never remember. I need to make a ZX command for this. Oh, dir? What? Okay, cool. Good, that's good. Good. 196. Oh, I didn't put the return types. Okay. Line 200. What do I have going on here? Intermittent atom starting with period on line 200. Hmm? Am I not supposed to quote this? I thought I was. Guess not. Okay, guess not. Okay, so this is stuff I did last night. Okay, so it does work. It's like instant. That's crazy. Okay, so how do these look? Yeah, ACI is done. Oh, ACI is not done. That's what Jarvis is going to do. Format. Oh, yeah. Okay, so. Okay. Yeah, it comes out like it's a number. That's funny. Yeah, that's good enough. Huh? Takes. Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's happening here? Oh, okay. 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 A little bit scattered. This module needs a bit of work, but basically that's okay. Now I need to get zip out. Okay, that's done. So now that is done. We have a few other things to do on the I can't build those yet until I get the updates to the AACI module and a couple other things, but we will be uh-oh. Okay. Jarvis was asking if he can do arbitrary docs around types. So if you put a type string in, can you document that? And actually we did that exactly that right here in the HC module. So I have types, ACI, and then what that is, right? But here we've got the account, and then the account thing is there, but then this part is actually part of a doc string that's arbitrary. Actually, I can tell him this. I can show you on stream right now, incidentally. telling him I can show him on stream right now because I'm looking at exactly this thing. That was a message that when I did the version up, it like touched most of the files, and I had that one open. So what he was asking about is if you can annotate type specs. So if you look here, these are just like not anything, but here we've got a type. So key block is a string that points at a term. Well, that's like very nondescript, right? The actual reality of it is that you've got strings that can only be a certain number of strings. Like you're only ever going to get these strings. These are the keys. And the dialyzer type system just looks at list of integer as list of integer. And because strings are list of integer and binaries are a binary of bytes, it's a variable length. That's all you get. You can't declare them like in detail because you don't have the types themselves. You don't have each individual sequence value. Each sequence can't be defined in that way because of the way the type checker works, because this is not a strict type checker. So because of that, you have this handicap where you can't, in the type declaration, you can't like lock down exactly what all the keys in that would be if they're strings or binaries. So instead, what you have is you wind up with like, for the type checker, this is what you have. But for the humans, you can provide a string after that, and you can use HTML tags to force them to be like a certain pre-formatted way or whatever. And that's what we've done here. Is we've got key block. If we find the key block thing, find key block. This is actually the type spec, right? But then I've got this example down here, and that's what you can do. If you put on the next line, if you put a doc string, then it will cover whatever that type is, and the annotation goes with it. And you can put arbitrary text in there. You could put you could put a bunch of HTML, like bullet lists and stuff like that. You could put a prose explanation. I just chose to document the type, like the full type with all the keys and all that exactly as is, because that's what I need to personally look at when I'm writing code against this. So that's what you can. So you can do all this with eDoc. You could just, put your type in there that may be unnecessarily, well, it's necessarily vague for dialyzer, but you want the humans to get the full picture. You can just put a pre-formatted doc string below it that spells everything out. And then when you build your eDoc thing, you'll get this. It'll look like that. And that's that. Otherwise, it looks like this. Network ID, just this. Network ID is a string. Okay, there's no explanation that goes with it because we just declared it like network ID string. There's nothing after it. So it just looks like this. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But these big ones that you want, status, transaction, stuff like that, you want all the junk like enumerated. So do that in the string. Doc string, let it go. It's fine. Then your humans know what they're encountering. So all this stuff is, of course, complete in the new version that I just pushed up. And that's that. He will get that figured out shortly. So there's a lot of nice little surprises like that in eDoc. There's a few improvements to eDoc, not big ones. There's just a couple of improvements I'd make to eDoc regarding like the way the left panel works. And then it would be, I would also maybe I would want to register a custom template place, because you can put your own CSS, your own images and things in here, which is what we did here. But I'd want to register that with eDoc, have the option to register with that with eDoc, so that it has like a standard place it would check to overwrite things or to override things. Little tiny tweaks. This simple, boring HTML tables and stuff type documentation is exactly what I want. It's also the easiest for an AI to consume. If you're trying to train an AI, you want dead easy docs like this that are just HTML pages with no fancy JavaScript or anything like that. Because when the bot's looking at JavaScript and the JavaScript's going to populate a thing in a frame or whatever, especially if it has to make a request somewhere to get the data to populate in that frame. The AI has a decision to make, which is it worth it for me to run this? Because I have to execute this JavaScript to show anything on the screen. Well, that's more compute time, and we're melting as it is. So should I even care to spin up a, interpretation environment and run this and figure out what the value would be? Most of the time they're going to say no. So simple pages, plain text, plain text. Okay, you could have HTML, markdown or HTML or something like that. But that type of textual data is very, very informative to AI. But if you have, really fancy pants documentation that's like a big single page app in JavaScript or whatever, a lot of AI bots that are scraping are just gonna be like, nah, screw that. I'm not gonna check. So it also breaks for people in weird ways, and you can't use it like with, links and e-links and stuff. It doesn't work very well. Links, that sounds silly, but like a lot of systems that I configure remotely won't have a GUI that I can access. And maybe if they're in a private network somewhere, the documentation might be in that private network. I can't see it from the outside, so I can't use a full-blown browser unless I install a headed thing and all that and do like X forwarding of Firefox or something from inside. That's terrible. If I can do links, what was that? Gajumaru.io/docs/Hakuzaru/latest? Is that right? Might be right, might not be right. It is. Look, so there's a modules frame, there's an overview frame. We don't do frames in this, but I can still see that there's 2 frames. And I got links to them. So I could still click modules frame, and it will give me a list of modules. And then I can click, I want to see the HC docs. Look at that. I've actually got, and they're not crazy either. Like, this is actually super easy to read. I've got the docs right here, and they're not insane. And if I don't click, but if I select one of these, boink, I go straight to the thing. And so even with links, you can do this. That if you want to see how the AI scrapers see the world, go use links. That's like how they see the world. So, and you hit a JavaScript heavy page, it's just not going to run it. So it's actually better to go back and do the old way. I wonder what it has for Sophia, because I haven't seen the Sophia. That's a little bit fancy pants kind of site. It's maybe one of these like cute doc generators. This is a little bit messier. You can tell it wasn't like designed with the text interface in mind, but a bot won't have trouble with this. It's just a little uglier to read than normal. Let's see. Let's go to the syntax page. Okay, this isn't bad. It's not great. It's not bad. So I wonder what get t looks like. What does get t look like? 2 links. It might be a total mess. Not bad. Okay. Let's go to, God, it's a lot of option things to run over here. Let's go to Hakuzaru. This website requires JavaScript. Now, I wonder if elinks can do it. You can click with this. This website requires JavaScript. I don't know if, can we enable that? Yeah. Settings. Keen binding now. That's not what I want. Protocol, BitTorrent. Oh, wow. It can do all these protocol. That's crazy. It can emulate terminals. User interface. Clock, session tabs. You could maybe do a bunch actually in here. That is wild. Macros. No. None of these work the way that I want. How do I... Oh, so you press escape to get them. I haven't used this for years. I thought that links had... toggle document colors. Whatever. Doesn't do anything. I thought that eLinks had a JavaScript interpreter, but maybe I'm wrong. That's too bad. Well, so I guess we're not going to get that done. I thought that there was a text-only browser that did JavaScript interpretation, though. I thought that was the case, but maybe I'm mistaken. Regardless, the point is that if you're trying to train an AI on your documentation, don't make JavaScript documentation because it'll just be all like a mess. And most bot scrapers will just look at the JavaScript site and be like, I'm not going to run that. And they'll just, it's fine. They don't care. There's enough junk on the internet anyway, so to go be able to hallucinate answers for people. So plain text is a win in that case. So that is done, I believe. It's on the dock. Oh, over here. Once Jarvis is done with that, we'll be good to go and push version 0.9.2. There's some new stuff in GajuDesk that I'm going to be doing, but we'll do some of that on stream later on. This is a short one today. Just wanted to kind of do that. So that's that. Remember, I might be exciting, but blockchain should